In this lecture, we're going to talk about cases and form factors, specifically our ATX, our mini ATX, our micro ATX, our ITX, and our mini ITX. Lots of cool little names there, right? So, the first thing we talk about a computer is we think about the big box that everything goes in. That's the case. Contemporary computers, they come in all shapes and sizes. When I started out, they all were these big, bulky, rectangular shaped computer towers. Nowadays, we have them in all sorts of things. I'm sure you guys have all seen the all-in-one computers where the monitors have all the components inside of them, right? If you look at iMacs, they've been doing that for about a decade or so. If you've been looking at the, even HP and Dell now have these 27-inch monitors and everything's in there, including the touchscreen. You have some that are like set-top TV boxes for your home theater PCs that go with your TV system. And they're small little Linux boxes that'll run streaming video for you. All different shapes and sizes based on the size of the case. The most common case sizes you're going to see are what's called full size, and full size is about a 3-foot tall tower. They're really, really big. I have not seen one of those in about a decade. You got one at home? I had an old keep up on the side too. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're really high-performance machines, lots of hard drive, lots of CDs and DVDs. But nowadays, what everybody's doing is trying to go smaller and smaller, right? And these things are just monsters. You have mid-size, and mid-size are like the white machines you see there. They're about 2 feet tall, 1.5 feet, 2 foot tall, like the one that's displayed here on the screen. We also have small form factor. And small form factor is like, if you ever seen like a Mac Mini, they're about the size of a, like 6 by 6, 6 inch by 6 inch, maybe about 2 inches tall, very small, kind of like a set-top box. They work well for home theater PC type things. And then you have servers, and they're usually what's called 1U or 2U, which stands for 1 unit or 2 unit. 1 unit is about the size of about 3 of your fingers. If you put your fingers tall, about maybe 2 inches tall, 2U's about, 3 or 4 more fingers on top of that. And that's the size that it goes in a rack. And normally a rack, like this full-size rack behind me, will fit about 21U servers in it. And so if you have 2U servers, they're usually thicker, more powerful. 1U are just, they're small and thin. Or they're wide but thin. And that's the major common sizes you're going to see. Again, the most common one you're going to see is the mid-size. For the A+ exam, the big things you're going to hear about is a tower, which is either the full size or the mid-size, and a small form factor. And the big difference is, what would you use a small form factor for? Usually a home theater PC, something you want to blend into your entertainment system. And we'll talk about that more when we get to customized PCs later on. So when we talk about form factor, what we're talking about is the shape and size of the motherboard, okay? So ATX is by far one of the most popular out there, and that's why we have mini and micro ATXs as well now. It's been widely used since the 1990s. It has what's called a rear port cluster, and we're talking about the port cluster. I'm talking about this big thing here on the front of the screen. You can see we've got our printer port and our serial port, our display port. We got some network cards here, some USB, and the audio. And all of this is called the port cluster, this region right here. Its expansion slots run parallel to the shorter side of the board. So you can see this is a rectangle, and the shorter side of the board is this way. And these expansion slots are running parallel to that. They have a left side opening case, so if you look at the case and you want to take off the side of it, it's going to be on the left side. With ITXs, it was on the right side. Actually, no, the BTXs, they were on the right side. But ATX is a left side opening case. So mini ATX. It's a smaller board than an ATX, but it has all the same type of stuff. It has fewer expansion slots, so I can put, like in this one, you can see I only have a single expansion slot here for something like a graphics card or a modem. I still have that rear port cluster, and again, this is about half the size as the other one. The expansion slots still run parallel to the shorter side of the board, and it does still have that left opening case, and you can see this smaller form factor case here that this one would fit into. A micro ATX is even smaller than a mini, because micro is smaller than mini, right? It has fewer expansion slots than ATX or mini ATX. It may only have one, or it may have none. It still has that rear port cluster. It still has the expansion slots that are parallel to the short side of the board, and it's still a left opening case. Why is it all still the same? Because you can put a micro board in a full ATX size case if you wanted to. right? You can always take the smaller and put it in the bigger case and it would still line up to the case, to the holes. And so if we look at these, you can see if we have a full-size ATX, it's going to be 12 inches, 9.6 inches, 7 expansion slots maximum, full-size tower. Mini was not very widely used, but it's fairly similar as far as slots and size of tower. Smaller board though. And then this micro, you can see the width is the same, that 9.6 and 9.6, so they can still fit in the same size. And it will have a maximum of 4 slots. Do you need to memorize these inches? No. Okay. Just remember, ATX is biggest, mini, a little bit less, micro, even less, right? And if it's less size, you're going to have less expansion slots. Other than that, they're the exact same thing. They all have that rear port cluster, and they all have the parallel slots to the side of the board. ITX and mini ITX. So, while ATX was made in the 90s, ITX and mini ITX was made in the 2000s. It was created in 2001. Mini ATX took over ITX. And remember I said you could put a small board in a big case. Here's an example of that, right? This is a mini ITX being put into a large size case. Whereas if you had an ITX, it might fill up this entire case. The nice thing about mini ITX was it also fits in ATX cases. So the same case can now be used for 4 different types of boards. There's also what they call Pico or Nano, which are even smaller. And they're using computing appliances. When I talk about a computing appliance, I'm talking about like set-top devices, right? You think about streaming media players, like your Roku device, or your Kindle Fire TV, right? Or WD TV. These are computing devices. They are computers that are based on doing a single function. The Picos and the Nanos are very small, and they're used for that often. The ITX and the Flex CTX are about the same size, and again, they're going to fit in an ATX-style case. So, if you were a user and you wanted to buy a new computer that will eventually add several more hard drives and the possibility to run a second video card, which of the following form factors would you recommend? So if I want to put lots of something in there, which one do you think is the biggest? D, ATX, right? So we go with an ATX board, in an ATX case. So a nice full size or a mid-size case with a full ATX board would fit just fine for our purposes.